Hello, friends. I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's all good and great and wonderful. Yesterday's conversation about my tweet. So I made a tweet asking if people had hacks or tricks they use to start on tasks that seem unimaginably difficult. Um, that it was a false claim of me to say that that tweet was intended to be a conversation starter for either this show or other videos. That's not necessarily true. That tweet was also a bit of a subtweet to myself, because at that point in time I was facing a task that was unimaginably difficult, and I have since, meaning today, this wasn't a big task. I completed that task today to what I consider disastrous results, immediate anxiety inducing results. It's really not that big of a deal, but in the moment, it was very disastrous. And that task was simple. As many of you know, for the last couple of years, I have been studying and working towards becoming a certified project manager. Uh, this journey began in December of 2020, so I guess it's only been like a year and a month that I have been on this journey to become a certified project manager. And to do that, you work through an organization called the Project Management Institute, and their certification process is pretty intense. It's pretty intense for a reason, and that's because gaining their certification is like a huge deal. It's a big stamp, right? And so they make the process difficult on purpose. And so while I got the job title of project manager last summer, I have the remainder of this year to get certified and finish all that. And there's been some pressure put on me lately to pick a date. Like, when am I going to go take the test? When am I going to do the thing? But step one of, I've told them, like, I would love to give you a date, but I can't until I finish the application process. And the application process is pretty daunting. Was pretty daunting. That's the task that I had to do, was finish my application. Because you see, in order to get this certification, you, number one, you have to have a certain number of credit hours in a towards professional management, meaning that I had to take a class that provided 35 hours of professional management training that is certified by the Project Management Institute. Did that in December. Number two is prove work experience managing projects. Now, for me, I have an associate's degree, which means I have to provide proof of my associate's degree and 60 months, 5 years of project management experience before I'm even eligible to take the test. So this is all just an application, right? Standard kind of thing. Fill out your bio stuff, your school, your education, your professional learning, project management professional learning, and then work experience. Work experience does not overlap, so in many of especially in this past few years, many of my projects have overlapped, and there's been lots of smaller projects that have been completed in the middle of a larger project, as a side that, because I've been on multiple things. Well, none of that counts. It's just time in service, right? Like, that's all that counts, is time in service. You don't get to count two separate projects as two separate chunks of time if they occurred during the same time. So I had to kind of go through my work history and start documenting. And this process is what was tripping me up, because in order to get approved, you really have to show through that documentation process that you have performed the function of a project manager in all of the various domains of project management, from initiation to planning to execution to initiation, planning, execution, something, and closure. Monitoring and closure. You have to kind of hit on all of that throughout your history, your work history. And so I had to write these, 200 to 500 words of, here's what I did, here's how I did it, here's the outcome of the project, this was the expectations, And you have to do that without technical jargon. They don't want to hear, like, the details of what you did, the work. They want to hear how you managed it. And so you have to be pretty concise, but at the same time, make them feel like you were actually a manager on that project. And that was really stressing me out because, to be honest, a lot of it feels like dirty. It feels like cheating. Like, I've never, until last July, I never officially had a project management role. But I have managed projects, right? I've managed a lot of projects over that time period. I've managed the creation of software applications. Sure, I reported to somebody. I had a functional manager, but I managed the actual project. And so I have to put all of that into wording, and I have to summarize all of my thoughts in a way that they will accept and say, okay, you've done the work, right? And so edit after edit, I went and studied examples and all that sort of stuff to try to get this thing finished so I could just hit submit on the application. I sent it off to a coworker, my boss. I let her look it over, and she said, yeah, it looks great, submit it. I said, all right. So I filled it all out, and I hit submit today, and immediately I got back you've been selected for auditing. They audit a certain percentage of these submissions, and I got selected for auditing, which means, and that feeling, that immediate gut feeling of I screwed it up. Like, this could be the thing that causes me to lose my project management role, because if I can't get certified, I'm not a project manager, right? That's part of the stipulation of the job, and I have to get through this application process, and after I'm through this application process, I have to take this test that costs $500 that I have to pay for to take this test, and it's a 4 to 6 hour test. And man, that immediate gut drop when it said I've been selected for auditing is terrifying. Part of the reason is because the management that I had for many of these projects are gone. The manager that I had through 3 of the years on this thing is gone. She's not been around, and she left. And then the manager that I had at my previous job, I have no way of I don't know how to contact him. I have contacted the assistant manager at that time, so hopefully he will vouch for me. But basically, I now have to go through the basics. I had to upload my college credentials. I had to upload my professional learning credentials. I have to provide a reference for each of my claimed work experience, and basically they get sent a document that shows what I typed, and they have to certify through DocuSign that yes, that is valid and I did that. It's a bit daunting. I have 90 days to get it done, and I don't think it's going to take that long. I emailed my old boss. I have her email address, and like I said, again, the assistant manager, and hopefully they'll say yes. But the problem that I have faced with that is it feels kind of scummy, because I didn't lie on these reports. I'm not going to lie, but when you read what I did, in the project management terminology, it makes it sound like I really was the guy, and I don't know. The whole point is I have to come up with 5 years of projects that I've managed, professional projects, and have somebody sign off on it now that I've been selected for auditing. Somebody has to sign off and agree that I actually did that. I actually served a project management role before I'm even eligible to take this test. I don't think I'm going to fail. I think that once I am eligible to schedule the test, I will schedule the test for a month out. And then for 4 weeks, that's all I'm going to do is study, and really cram for the test and make sure that when I walk in those doors, I've got my head on my shoulders and I know what I'm talking about. And like any standardized test, it's got a lot of gotcha questions that you have to kind of just know how to find. So we'll see what happens. But step 1 of the process is not done. I was hoping it would be done and everything would be all right. And I was just waiting on an answer. Now I'm waiting on answers to get an answer, because there's no guarantee that once these people validate my work that PMI will accept my application. They might still reject it and make me redo it. So I don't know. But hopefully it's not a huge deal and I can just get on with it. But man, I'm still a little bit shaky from it. I get that way sometimes. I've told people, like, when I was a mechanic, if I worked on your car, especially like doing something big, like rebuilding your engine or rebuilding your transmission, which I did a lot of, every time I would sit there for 10 minutes before I was willing to turn the key because I was just so scared that I didn't tighten something or I forgot to hook something up or something was going to go, tragically wrong. I had the same feeling pushing that stupid submit button. Here's to nothing. Either I make it or I don't, right? Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is Kwanzaa. It is a noun meaning an African holiday observed by many African Americans from December 26th to January 1st. We feel we are doing our part to foster multiculturalism by allowing the stray Kwanzaa decoration at our Christmas parties. Kwanzaa, Kwanzaa. Is it actually an African tradition? I thought it was started here in America. I thought it was like a celebration of African Americans that's based on African tradition.